morning and welcome to a reading vlog. I intended to start this on Saturday and now today is Monday, but we had a pretty busy weekend and I got some footage which I'm happy with. We ended up making tomato sauce with Dave's family and we had to cut all the tomatoes, boil them all, mash them all up, turn them into sauce, and we made like 289 bottles of tomato sauce. But that meant that we were working from 8 AM until like 3:30 PM on Saturday, and that just destroyed my energy levels. So on Sunday we were both sleeping. So the weekend was very much taken up, but it was still a great weekend. But the real reason I started this vlog was not only to talk about the sauce day, but it was to motivate myself because my March to be read pile had a lot of physical reads on it. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the cards and below for you. And one of the books that my number generator picked, it did me dirty because I didn't want to read this book, but it's kind of good to get it out of the way in a sense, and that is The Blood of Hercules. And I've seen terrible reviews for this. Initially, before there were any reviews around, I just saw Hercules. I knew that it was about a Spartan war academy and that is what hooked me, but I've since seen terrible reviews. So I thought that I would try this on camera and then react to you and tell you if it's a good book or not. I don't think it will be, but at least if it's a DNF, so I did not finish, it will be fairly quick. And then I've also wanted to make progress on Nevermore, which is the first book in the Trials of the Morrigan Crow series, in time for the fourth book, which is coming out in April. So this and this are the priority for this reading vlog. I've also paused some other books to start these ones. So if I can finish these ones, or at least finish this one's a wild card, then it will be what I consider a productive week. For now though, it is Monday morning. I need to log on and start work, and I'll probably talk to you again after the work day is finished. Before reading commences, we are having slow cooked meat with veggies for dinner. The slow cooker has become our new obsession. It is so convenient. What did you say, Dave? It feels like cheating because it tastes so good.
It just does everything for you. It's great.
Okay, dinner is done. Things are cleaned up. I am freshly laundered. It is time to read this. Actually, I should probably let you in on a little secret because I have a huge announcement that's super exciting and I haven't talked about it on my channel yet. And that is that, surprise, I'm pregnant and we're gonna have a baby in July. So that is probably why you'll see me say that I'm tired a lot, because pregnancy fatigue hits really hard and I'm also really struggling to focus on reading. I'd rather watch a movie than read a book sometimes, and that's really throwing me because that's not anything like how I usually am. So that's why I'm doing this vlog, to kind of refocus a little bit and see what works for me. I don't think this book is gonna work for me though, but we'll see what happens. We'll find out together. Have I told you a synopsis of this book? It says that Alexis Hart isn't a hero and she certainly isn't a god, she is a survivor. But when a test grants her admittance to the Spartan War Academy, Alexis will have to do more than survive to graduate. While unyielding gladiators Achilles and Patro hone her into a warrior, her professors, the two brooding heirs to the underworld, haunt her steps and her thoughts. Initially, the way I read this was that Achilles and Patro were the two men in the white shoes or reverse harem romance in here, but it sounds like they might not be. I don't know, that synopsis is a bit misleading, but anyway, I'm sure all will be discerned when I start this book, so I am diving in now. I am on page 4 and the writing isn't actually that bad. It's leaning a little bit towards the dramatic. Alexis is actually thousands of years old and she seems like a god, and she's just got the stones of Delphi, which are linked to prophecy. So she's just gotten a prophecy and the writing says, "Dark possibilities tasted bitter on my tongue, and I felt the paths forward in the marrow of my ancient bones." It's like, is that really necessary? I think I'm being nitpicky, but at the same time, that's that's dramatic. There's also the classic describe the character using a mirror, and she's running through a long white marble hall and it says, "My purple eyes and white hair reflected off the mirrored walls." Okay, so the first like 5 pages or so were a bit of an info dump of what exactly the Spartans are and what Kronos is and what the Titans are. And the character we were following was obviously a 1,000-year-old god. Now though, we're in the year 2090 and we're following Alexis. So Alexis isn't thousands of years old, she's just a girl. And it says here that the Titans arrived in the year 2050 and the world had crumbled, and kids at school called it apocalyptic core. I called it hell. So it's like the Titans came back and destroyed civilization as we know it, which is a cool premise to a story actually. It's a bit more cool than I thought it would be in terms of the setup. So aside from the info dumping at the beginning, I'm probably going to turn the camera off for a bit and read a little bit further. I am honestly surprised that I don't hate it from the get-go, although I'm not a huge fan of just the info dump pages, but maybe Alexis will change my mind. I say that very optimistically. It's Tuesday night. It's almost 10:30 p.m, so it's past my bedtime. And we just got back because I was at work all day. I got back home and then within 10 minutes we were out the door again because it is International Pancake Day. We had delicious pancakes and then we went out and we saw a really cool movie, but it went for like 3 hours and now I'm exhausted. And we've got work for the rest of the week, so I need to go to bed. I'll give you a reading update and an update about that Blood of Olympus book tomorrow, I think. It is now Wednesday. I finished the workday. What a work day. I'm so glad today is over. I'm already tired and I've got a workout class tonight. So it is what it is, but I've made you wait long enough for this update, and that is to say that the book is terrible. Why is this popular? The writing style is so bad. It's marketed as a reverse harem romance that is adult. It reads like a terribly written young adult book, and I feel like its existence is both an insult to young adult and then an insult to literacy altogether, because honestly, why would you write this? It was almost stereotypical. Anyway, it went through Alexis's early life. So it started when she was 10 or 11 and she would reference her house being hell and living in hell, and it was that apocalyptic setting that I mentioned at the beginning, and she was living with these foster parents that were clearly mixing and surviving on drugs because food was just not something that you can find easily. And then they get another adoptive child because they don't want it, but it's been forced on them. And so it's now Alexis and her younger brother Charlie, and they've got to try and stay alive when they're being beaten and physically abused and not fed properly. And then all of a sudden there is a titan that attacks, because they attack in this world. I guess it's like their version of the zombies if this was an apocalypse story. Alexis has to survive. Her and Charlie obviously survive. She is injured in that attack, and after that her and Charlie become homeless, and then now it's flashed forward to when she's 19 and she's at school, and this girl is like, oh my god, she smells so bad because she's homeless. It's just like got that tone across the whole story so far, and the character reads is so juvenile. I read 55 pages, I'm giving up. I think this book is probably the worst book that I've ever read. To quell my rage, I then started Nevermore because this is such a sweet story. Well, I say a sweet story, but it starts out with Morrigan, and her father is the mayor of this town, and he's apologizing to people and giving people funding because Morrigan is a cursed child. And it's not a portal fantasy like I thought it was. I forgot that it's all set basically in the same world. So Morrigan is listening to the radio at one point, and one of the broadcasters is talking about Squall Industries and Ezra, and later on we hear more about that when we go to the magical school in Nevermore. So it's all kind of linked together, which I forgot. But yeah, Morrigan is apparently cursed and she's causing bad things to occur around her, in the sense that like a cat died, or someone got a stain on their shirt, or someone didn't win a contest because she wished them good luck. It's just ridiculous, and you can really see that her self-esteem is really suffering and she's got nobody in her corner whatsoever. Everyone wants to avoid her because it's like she's got the plague basically. So that's the setup to this story, but already the writing style is like a billion times better than what this atrocity was. Like, why is this a thing? I'm not going to get over the fact that that book is so bad, I think, but this one is a great book, at least so far, and from memory I enjoyed it. So the fact that I've already started to enjoy the writing, and because it's a middle grade book, it's got short chapters and big writing, I'm like, yes, that really suits my brain right now. So that is what I'm going to stick with. It also matches my schedule. I mentioned that I've got a rough weekly schedule in my head. I don't know if that was in a recent currently reading video, which I will link for you, or if that was something I mentioned in this vlog, because I filmed both of those videos pretty much together. So I had a plan to start the Robin Hobb book, Assassin's Quest. I read 50 pages of that. I put it down to start Blood of Hercules, which was terrible, and I keep saying Blood of Olympus, so I'm issuing an apology to Rick Riordan for confusing it with one of his titles because he's excellent and this book is not excellent. So I've started that book, obviously I put it down, and then in the first-ish to second week of March I plan to read and finish this. So I'm well on track, and if I can finish halfway into this book before the weekend ends, that'll be great, because this vlog is going up on a Monday, today's a Wednesday. It's a long weekend for me, so I'm hoping that I can get this finished, but we will find out. Additionally, I'm also listening to an audiobook, and that is The Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan, which is the second book in his Trials of Apollo series, and it's got that funny tone to it because Apollo was cast out of Olympus by Zeus. He's now a 16-year-old boy named Lester, and Lester has to go on quests with a bunch of other demigods, and he very much gets brought down to size in being human and having to understand everyone's everyday struggles, because he's just used to not worrying about it. He's a god, but he's actually realizing empathy. Not that he didn't have it before, but at a ground level of what people experience in their everyday mortal lives, he's understanding now. And so I like the shift. It's still very early in his shift, so at some points he's a little bit unbearable, but I also just like that the godly aspect of his previous life is mentioned, and it makes him embarrassed, and he's recognizing things that he wouldn't do now as a human compared to when he was a god. Not only because he doesn't have the ability to, because he's not a god anymore, but because he's reflecting on his past actions and relationships, and I really like that about the character and the growth of this story. So again, I'm just enjoying myself. I'm probably just almost halfway into that, and I think I'll probably finish it at the end of this week. So at least that will be a good book that I finish at the end of the week, rather than the atrocity that I let into my life, which is Blood of Hercules, and then maybe I can finish this one too. So that is my goal setting for this vlog. It's safe to say that Thursday has gotten away from me. I haven't felt great today, and then obviously I spent the whole day working, and at lunchtime I went for a walk, but I haven't done any reading today, and we're going out to dinner at Nonna's tonight, so no reading will occur tonight either. And I thought that I'd potentially be going into the office tomorrow, so on my train ride I would finish The Dark Prophecy, but it looks like because of different maintenance to the building, I have to work from home tomorrow, which I'm not complaining about, but I'm also like, when am I going to read my audiobook? So that is a thought I will have to grapple with. We'll see. Maybe I'll just fold washing and listen to it or something. I'm sure I can fit it in my day somewhere. My attention span has just been a bit fraught lately. But even though I don't have an actual reading update, I did read a little bit of Nevermore last night, but I haven't made proper progress on it yet. I'm about 30 pages in, still liking it. And I did an audiobook thing on Libby today, and that is, I realized, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I think that's the title. It's a romantasy that's like a vampire version of The Hunger Games, apparently. That's now on Libby, so I went to put it on hold and realized it was available just to borrow straight up. So it must have been very newly on the app. I don't know how I managed to time that up. But anyway, I've borrowed it for the next 21 days. So once I finish The Dark Prophecy, I'll probably try that audiobook and see if I like it or not, because romantasy has been a very large category of titles that have varying results for my enjoyment. So even though other people have probably enjoyed this one, I've heard it's a little bit generic, and I'm hoping that I like the characters enough that generic is okay. So I will report back and let you know when I eventually start that one how I feel about it. But as for my reading, I'm just wanting to get more of Nevermore read, and I won't have time tonight, which I'm sad about. So maybe I can do that sometime tomorrow. I do have a little bit of time before I start work, so I'll either listen to my audiobook, sleep in, or read Nevermore. And I don't know which one it's gonna be yet, but hopefully one of those three options. This is the muffin of my dreams. I'm so excited. I didn't end up reading or audiobooking or sleeping in. I went for a walk this morning, as you probably saw, and now I feel good, but I have to work. So still no reading to be done yet. Good morning. It is now Sunday, so oopsie, I didn't really film much yesterday. I did film two things. One of them was when we went out for lunch and we got ramen, and it satisfied a craving that I've been having for days, so that was delicious. And then after a busy day, I finally got to sit on the couch and read some of Nevermore, so there is a little bit of that I filmed to confirm that yes, I actually did some reading. But yesterday was a pretty involved day just in terms of getting life admin stuff done. Thankfully, amidst all of that, I managed to listen to my audiobook, so I ended up actually finishing The Dark Prophecy. So I actually finished a book for this vlog. It's my first book that I finished in March, and it is the 9th of March, so I'm fairly behind on what I hoped to have finished this month, but then when I look at my rough plan of what I wanted to read week by week, I'm actually on track, so I'm not really sure how that makes sense. But anyway, I gave this a 4 stars. It probably could have been a 3.5 to 4 stars, but I rounded up because I like Rick Riordan and the tone and the style and the character growth in here. And I really like the way that, again, how I said earlier, Apollo is becoming more connected and understanding of himself and other characters and how his relationship works with each one. And I like that he's being humanized more so. Like I said, it is taking a little while, but there were some key scenes in here that really shone through, and that's what I really enjoyed. I also liked seeing a bunch of the side characters in here, especially ones that we've seen from the Heroes of Olympus series, so that was really fun. And then in the next book, I believe they're going to Camp Jupiter, so we're going to have even more of the side characters from that series in the next book, which I actually have right here. Actually, it's The Burning Maze, and I am looking forward to starting this one as well, but I'm also kind of stuck on audiobooks at the moment because I borrowed that Carissa Broadbent book, so I should probably read that before the audiobook hold comes up at the library. Otherwise I'll just borrow it and then return it, and that seems kind of pointless. And then I also realized that I have a new release coming out at the beginning of March that I've pre-ordered on Audible, and that is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, and I believe it follows a character who raised someone like an aunt from the dead and then as a consequence lost her magic, and now she's trying to find it again. It's like a contained cozy mystery almost, and I'm keen to try it out, hence the pre-order. I've got a few audiobooks ahead of me, I think. As for Nevermore, I've read 154 pages. I've forgotten so many key details, key characters, key moments. I even forgot how Morrigan properly got to Nevermore as well, so I've got a lot of catching up to do with this series. So even though it is a kid's book, it's taking me a little bit longer to get through, but I've also realized that because of my pregnancy fatigue, I'm actually not focusing very much. Like, I did a lot of Instagram scrolling last night instead of continuing to read, just because it felt like my brain couldn't focus on words on a page. And then last night at 11 p.m, I decided it was time to bake cookies, because even though I had time to bake cookies this morning, last night Beck thought that was the perfect time to do so. Anyway, I now have cookies to bring with me to the housewarming I'm going to today, which leads me into my next point of, when will I read this? Maybe tomorrow. Or it depends on when I get back from the housewarming, but I'm assuming today will be pretty much a write-off, because when we get back we're going to have to do some cooking and stuff, and then we've got plans tomorrow morning. So where am I going to fit this in? At some point I will let you know, but during the second week of March it was my target to read this anyway, so I'm still on track. It's the 9th of March today, so surely I can get this done before the midpoint of the month, and then I can go back to reading Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb, which is 800 pages, so if I'm worried about getting through this in time, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about getting through Hobb, but one challenge at a time. Hello, it is now much later in the day. It's almost 10 p.m. and I've come to wrap up the vlog. I'd like to report that I'm 220 pages into this, and that's about 48%. So I stuck to my goal and I got halfway through. I did say that I wanted to finish this, and I still do, but it might take me until midweek to do that, especially with tomorrow afternoon I'll have available because it's a public holiday, so I've got Monday off, which is something I'm very much looking forward to. So the idea that I can finish this is very much in the cards, and I'm just glad that I also finished an audiobook this week, The Dark Prophecy. What else did I do? Oh, I borrowed an audiobook from Libby, which I need to start, and I feel guilty that I haven't started it, but overall I think I've done alright. I've just decided to ignore Blood of Hercules. I did read 50 pages on that, so I did waste, or I spent a little bit of time on that. So, you know, I have done a fair bit of pages during this reading vlog, which I'm proud of. But hopefully it's onward and upward with my reading. My March to be read video will be linked down below for you because I have aspirations for March, and I'm hoping that my weekly schedule will let me live up to those. But if you like this vlog, please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you're currently reading. I would love to know. But thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down below in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.